Dear student volunteers, thank you so much for participating in our SaaS Wellness project. This is basically to give you a little idea of what exactly we are doing, though you have gone through that webinar on the scientific basis of wellness. But these are few pointers I'm going to tell you so that you can understand what exactly, you know, practically my thought process. As a clinician, who has been working for more than 2 decades in the field of medicine and allied sciences, what I've found that being healthy is not enough. So many people, maybe physically healthy, they have they may have amazing body parameters, but that doesn't decide your what do you call the consequences of health, if I put it this way. In the COVID times, what I found that even all kinds of generation got victimized. Practically most of the people got some kind of viral infection. A certain section of society was very unfortunate. I was just trying to go through why all sections got victimized, and it's not that it is related to the age and comorbidity. Yes, comorbidities definitely played a very important role, but more important is that how good you feel about yourself. A life well lived is not only is about feeling healthy, it's about so many other things. So in the COVID times, I found that when you're confined to your space, when you're not able to interact with your friends, when you're absolutely into the digital world, when so many information is coming to you from all so-called the WhatsApp industry, so there's a tremendous amount of cognitive dysfunction, if I put it this way, people have gone through. And since we have been working from the day one in the COVID crisis, so we had the experience of going through different kind of mental experiences. And since we cater to a good chunk of population at large and across the globe, so we could make out that only talking about the specific treatment and complication is not enough. We have to work on the principle of enhancing one's neurochemical harmony, what you call the neural release in different kind of situation, because ultimately it's your mental health which decides your any kind of performance. Like you take situation is that like when you perform for an exams, or you're in a sports, or in a difficult situations, or in COVID crisis, how you cope, that decides it. And in those days, people used to call about intelligence quotient, and sooner we moved to something called empathetic quotient, or what you call EQ. But even if we found that people with a high EQ, they suffered, they could not cope up with this kind of challenges. So now we have moved to something which is called SQ, the spiritual quotient. That means what kind of coping skills you have developed over the, during difficult situations, or what you call the situation of displeasure. So that made it to us to think that every individual, maybe though we are genetically different, we are phenotypically different, but one thing is very common, that if we continuously nurture ourselves on the different situations, then probably we can improve our neurochemical harmony, or what you call the holistic harmony. So the whole concept of wellness project is that about you and your environment. So now when you are there in a situation, so you have your mental health, what is your core, you have your emotional health, that is about your core, but more important is your environmental, the immediately environment, maybe your college environment, maybe your working environment, maybe your home environment, then about your intellectual environment, how intellectually you feel, enhancing about your environment, your economic environment, your what do you call the your social environment, a kind of connectivity you develop for yourselves, how would you feel, what kind of skilling you have got, so that even you don't have the your friends around, so how good you feel about yourself. Then about your connectivity or immediate outside environment, what you call the cosmic environment. Then of course there are certain things you don't have an answer to, how much of parking you do, what you call a kind of spirituality. So that we have realized that every component plays a very important role in achieving a life well lived, or feeling good at the end of the day. So when you feel good end of the day with all kinds of displeasures and pleasures all put together, that decides your actual health. So that's why we moved from a definition called health to wellness. So students, you understand that you people are youngsters, you're going through a very difficult times. The education system is changing. There was employment issues, there are interpersonal relationship issues, there are challenges in the career. So one has to really develop a coping strategy and what we call the spiritual quotient. So how much you can take more, so that in adverse situations you can come out with your best. So wellness is basically a process of experience in our last 2 decades, and what we found that every individuals can behave differently in the different situations. And if we can nurture the different components which I mentioned, the 360-degree approach, or what we call the holistic harmony, then it is possible to come out with a difficult situation. Because always you believe that pleasure always lies in displeasures. When you have a displeasure and you get that little, the positive side of it, you feel very good about it. So life is always not very smooth. So those fluctuations will be there. So right from the day one at your age and early age, if you start working on something about yourself, your core, and your wellness, so then you can evolve as a good human being. So I think a wellness is just not like a medical term. It is about ourselves, about your future, about your present living, about your relationship with the people, and how you want to plan our things in life. So this whole concept of wellness is basically, taking somebody from a illness to a wellness. That means everybody has some kind of illness or displeasure in different situations, even in the happy situation, they may have a different kind of perspective. So life is a continuous struggle, and as I always say, the struggle is a misnomer, but the struggle is life. The displeasure always will be there. Only thing you have to learn to come out of it, how best you can cope up, how good you feel about in different adversities, and how can you create the balance between your what you call the exciting activities called sympathetic and your negative activities called the parasympathetic. That is kind of what we call an autonomic balance, and that is truly speaks about your neurochemical harmony, or what you call the holistic harmony. That's why this questionnaire, if you allow your students and your cohorts, teachers and all to understand in detail, and if they're very honest and about this questionnaires, we can help them to come out with their problems. And this is the first time an interdisciplinary approach has been done between doctors, therapists, and philosophers. So basically, we philosophers put together will go into those philosophical counseling, because every wellness has a different kind of approach. So depending upon which area of the wellness is getting disturbed, we need very structure-made philosophical counseling, and that's why we need your help. And this is a kind of pilot study. You can know yourself also, your people around, and I must say that we have it's an amazing experience. People have come to us with 9 out of 10 physical fitness, but they may be in very poor wellness. So it's a balance between your mental health and a physical. That combination, that combo, that decides your life well lived. So a good questionnaire can help us to understand a human being, and that is how is all our effort about that. If we get the right kind of score, then probably our philosophical counseling will be effective. That's why a little video format I'm giving you, students, so that you understand how important is data collection in this kind of situation. If the data goes wrong, the whole approach will be wrong. Thank you for all your efforts, and definitely we'll take it very big and we'll go very long. Regards, Dr. Bose, the founder of SANS Foundation.